Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel. You can also check me out on Spotify. However you're listening to my voice, I appreciate it. And last week, we talked about Monday night, or last week, what am I saying? Last episode, literally a day ago, 2 days ago, we talked about Monday Night Raw. Right now, this episode is all about AEW Dynamite. And I mentioned these two things because I posted a poll on Twitter. And I got to admit, I knew what I was doing. I try to post a poll every day. And sometimes I think it is intriguing. Sometimes it does kind of titillate the wrestling fans' imagination and maybe get some really good opinions and discussion going. But this one, I didn't know what to post, so I just went for the low-hanging fruit. What is better, Dynamite or Raw? Boom. And I usually get 100 votes. This one got 330 votes with 5 hours left. What is the better wrestling show? Dynamite versus Raw. And Dynamite won. Of course, I posted it the day of Dynamite, so you got to take that into consideration. 331 votes, 61.6% goes to AEW Dynamite right now, currently, and WWE Raw gets 38.4%. I do have to say that Raw is definitely the more popular show, and it is a lot better than it has been in recent years. But I do have to give the nod to Dynamite as well. I enjoyed Dynamite. Nice 2-hour block of wrestling. Sure, the storylines might not be there. And I know what people are saying. Well, if you tune into WWE for the story and you tune into AEW for the wrestling, it's it should be a bit of both. It should be a bit of both. But I just thought the poll was interesting, and I thought the popularity of the poll, what's better, WWE, AEW, it's going to get people talking every time. Also, what else is going to get people talking? Do you like CM Punk or not? That's going to be a big one too. But it's really not what I like to do, but it just works so well. And I got to say, I was a little delighted with myself to see that something that I spent a little time with working so well turned into some views, turned into some listens. A lot of people, started listening to the Raw review, so hopefully they're listening to this Dynamite review as well. So let's just dive right into it. Adam Copeland, of course, before I get started, I'm going to rank every single match from worst to first like I always do on Dynamite. But before we get to that, I'm going to give you my thoughts about what happened, between the bell-to-bell action. Adam Copeland, right off the top coming out. And he's not feeling good about facing Brody King in the main event. He just got off the phone with Tony Khan, and he's making it a no DQ match. Pretty cool. Of course, Adam Copeland's had his problems with House of Black recently. Malachi Black cutting a very cool, intriguing vignette explaining what he thinks of Adam Copeland and explaining his faction's actions, trying to kill the facade of Adam Copeland. Pretty interesting. The Elite pull up, park in Tony Khan's space like a bunch of dickheads, and then they recap the assault from Kenny Omega last week. We cut to Jack Perry sniffling and snarling, pissed off, even though he should be matching the energy of the Young Bucks and Okada. He should be this arrogant, goofy face guy. He's had, the upper hand the last few weeks. Why is he so mad? What is he mad about? I mean, it's kind of, it's just, maybe this is supposed to be part of the heat, but I think he kind of missed the mark in the direction of where things were going with this story. Maybe I'm nitpicky, but we then cut to Kenny Omega in the hospital bed, challenges the Elite to an Anarchy in the Arena match versus Team AEW, featuring FTR and then two guys who he wants to step up, and we'll find out later in the show. Cutting to that moment at the end of the show, the Elite out in the ring, arrogant as always. I really wish, Okada was more of a focal point here beside the Young Bucks. always arrogant. FTR comes out and introduces the other members of the team, Eddie Kingston and Bryan fucking Danielson. Of course, he's Blackpool Combat Club, but he damn sure is all elite. I mean, kind of a convoluted team, kind of a hodgepodge team, but I like it. I mean, Kenny Omega, of course, has history there. Daniel Bryan has history with Okada. FTR and the Bucks have history. I mean, Kingston and Jack Perry don't really have history, but I think you could get something going there. And I think Kingston is beloved by the fans. You want Jack Perry to be hated by the fans, but right now he's kind of cheered by half of them because half of them don't like Punk, and I guess he got punked by Punk, so they're cheering him for some reason. I can't really follow it. But I think Eddie Kingston would be a perfect matchup for what you're trying to do with Jack Perry. So I think this 8-man tag, Anarchy in the Arena, this is something they usually do at Double or Nothing. I'm excited about it. We also had Shivani brings out Serena Deeb. She discusses her injuries. She discusses coming back from it. She gets interrupted by Toni Storm, and that's when she said she was going to. She thought she was facing a challenger, not a charity case, and throws some money at her. Tries to swing on Deeb, but then Deeb gets the upper hand and knocks the champion out. Luther upset. Deeb walks away. We have a Pac interview interrupted by Bullet Club Gold. Swerve comes out, recaps last week getting attacked by Christian Cage, Killswitch, Nick Wayne, and all of them, getting the dreadlock ripped out, and he calls out Christian. Christian comes out. Christian mentions his teeth. He says, "Let me see your grill." He wants to take the gold teeth out of the champion's mouth, but then the champion knows better of it. He knew it was a numbers game, so he brought out the Mogul Embassy, Brian Cage, Gates of Agony. They show up to even the odds, and Swerve wants to beat Christian Cage like Kendrick beat Drake, and says that Christian is a fake daddy just like Drake. I thought these were good lines. I mean, it's interesting how this rap beef has just encompassed all of pop culture. I mean, if you are a publicist for Drake or Kendrick Lamar, you have to be excited about how this is going no matter what the other guy says about you. I mean, if I was, if I made money through being relevant and I was this relevant, I don't know if I would care too much about what the other person was saying about me. Of course, people are shooting up Drake's home allegedly and everything like that, so that's not good, but you can't buy this much publicity. But then Swerve's faction jumped him. Brian Cage, Gates of Agony, attacked the champion, powerbombing him through a table. As they are going to the back, Christian says, "Great idea," to the Young Bucks. So I guess the Young Bucks were behind this all along. And the Young Bucks said, "Was that a bitch move?" Because that's what Swerve said about the Young Bucks attacking Tony Khan last week before they attacked Kenny Omega. This was good here. Get the heat on Christian, and strengthen Christian's faction here isn't a bad thing. I don't know if they're going to be aligned with Christian's faction or not, but I do think that it is time to shed this Mogul Embassy from Swerve. You want Swerve to be a face champion. The fans want him to be a face champion, so kind of have him stand alone. Him and Prince Nana against the world, so to speak. Willow rocking a shiner. She's ready for Mercedes Moné. Mercedes Moné, she's excited for the match, but she's also sitting courtside with the Celtics. She's throwing out the first pitch at the Red Sox game. So that's interesting to me because a lot of people, including myself, are very underwhelmed with Mercedes Moné in AEW so far. But then she reminds me, in the body of the program, that she's a huge star. She's going to be in front of like 30,000 people throwing out the first pitch of the Red Sox game. She's going to be in front of millions of people watching on TNT NBA playoffs. So those people probably know who Sasha Banks is through her years of being in WWE, through being in The Mandalorian. And I bet they at least will now know and see this AEW Double or Nothing as a bigger deal than it was, or maybe not know about it at all and then find out about it and buy the pay-per-view because of it. We'll see. So, you gotta kind of you gotta let it play out, let them cook, as they say. Also, you have to think about, everyone gets a big reaction when they debut in AEW, and then they feel like just another guy whenever they're in their initial match. So when they're in their initial match, that's when, the shine comes off. So delay the initial match, and hopefully you can keep a little bit of that shine on there. So in theory, this is a good idea. I don't know if it worked out in practice. Samoa Joe video package, pretty good training. This is the first time we really, kind of get an in-depth view of how he's seeing the world after he lost the world title. But we also had 5 big matches from AEW Dynamite this week, and I'm ranking every single match from worst to first as I'm putting them in order right now as we speak, live during the show, in the order that I want. And here we go. Number 5. The first time ever probably Chris Jericho's match has been ranked last, but Chris Jericho versus Big Bill, Chris Jericho and Big Bill versus Mo Jabrari and Harlan Abbott. Harlan Abbott has been at it for almost 20 years, and this seems like this is his first big break. But Mo, about 7 years, appearing in the NWA, WWE, and this ain't his first time in AEW either. He gets tossed around by Big Bill. Harlan eats a lariat. They make short work of these guys. Jericho cutting a promo, and I love this promo here, this like dishonest, arrogant guy kind of poking fun at how maybe like the internet and modern wrestlers think about things, bringing up how good his match was in Cage Match, saying, "Thanks guys, I appreciate it," waving to the crowd. But then things kind of get interesting here because Tony Schiavone enters the ring and says that Hook will be back next week. I guess so in storyline, this is, a big deal because, Hook is, kind of got wronged by Chris Jericho. So now that Chris Jericho has, Big Bill, are we going to see Big Bill get suplexed? I think that's kind of what we're looking for. I don't think they're going to waste that. I think that's going to be a double or nothing type of thing. But I think that's what we're going towards. Number 4, Mariah May without any help since the champion got laid out prior to this match versus Harley Cameron, who comes out with Saraya. They gave Harley a lot here, a lot more than I thought they would. Saraya is calling the front row a bunch of creeps. Mariah May lands a headbutt and goes up top. Missile dropkick. Mayday 1, 2, 3. Mariah May gets the victory. I love this finisher here. It's like an attitude adjustment into a Michinoku driver. Pretty sick. Saraya attacks Mariah after the match, but then Mia Shakaria, I know I butchered that name, comes out, someone from Stardom, who I think had a friendship, if not more, with Mariah May during her time in Stardom. And then Saraya throws Harley in the way. That was pretty good. Saraya was kind of stealing the show a little bit here on the outside. Maya attacks Harley and then almost kisses Mariah May and then drinks champagne with her. Why, I don't know. But I'm starting not to care. All these ladies are attractive. I don't really know what's going on. It's been weeks. I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of it. Why isn't this woman from Stardom in Tony Storm's faction? And why is Tony Storm okay with this, other friendship looming when she's supposed to be with her? I mean, what is going on here? And why do they do this? Why do they drink champagne? What is the purpose of this? I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of it, but I do know that match is ranked 4th out of 5. Number 3, making the podium. Switchblade with the Guns versus Rocky Romero. If Rocky wins, he gets to find a team to go up against Switchblade and the Guns trios titles. Rocky hitting the sliced bread, 1-2, no. Goes for it again. Jay White counters, slips out, and hits the Blade Runner 1, 2, 3. Switchblade gets the victory. Solid match, and they attack Rocky afterwards, but Pac comes out and keeps him at bay. I think maybe Rocky, Pac, and someone else, there's a huge roster, is going for these trio titles, possibly at the kickoff show for Double or Nothing. That seems to be the placement for these trio titles the last 2 pay-per-views. But that wasn't the best match. That wasn't the second best match. That was the third best match. The second best match is Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta, the Curtain Jerker. During the match, they have a countdown for Swerve and Christian meeting face to face. Trent is taking it to Cassidy. Cassidy gets the upper hand as they go to the crowd. Boos fill the arena as Don Callis comes out. Back in the ring, Trent taking it to Cassidy, not trying to pin him though, mocking the best friend's hug, landing a running knee strike. He exposes the buckle as the ref is talking to him about this exposed buckle. Cassidy is exposing the buckle. Trent runs into him, ends up eating the buckle. Roll up, 1, 2, 3. Orange Cassidy steals one. A bit of a heel tactic here as Trent is frustrated and attacks him after the bell. Pile driver on the steps. Cassidy still not giving up, gets a chair, and then Callis and Statlander with a bunch of officials break them up. But what's up with Callis and Cassidy leaving together for the second week in a row, and Cassidy doing a bit of a heel tactic to Trent Beretta here to get the victory with the exposed turnbuckle? I don't know. A lot of questions unanswered. Let's keep watching Dynamite, I guess, to find out. But we do know this, who won the main event. Adam Copeland versus Brody King, the best match on the show, ranked number 1. Action spills to the outside. Edge hits a DDT from the apron to a chair that's on the apron. Brody busted open, seems to be loving it. Back in the ring, Brody really leaking here, going after the neck of Adam Copeland. Edge hoists Brody up and hits a Death Valley driver onto the apron, and then spears through the ropes to a table on the outside, running from the ring through the ropes to the floor. Spear in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3. Adam Copeland beats Brody King. Brody attacks him after the match. Seems to be a theme here of the night. Kyle O'Reilly comes out, and he looks like this Leave It to Beaver fresh off of his high school pictures, squaring up with this bloody cult following demon of a hardcore frontman. And that's exactly the scene we're getting here. And Kyle O'Reilly fins off Brody King. In the back later, Adam says, thank you, Kyle, for helping me out. And I think Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Copeland are going to go at it here on Collision. So thanks for helping me out. Now it's time to whoop your ass. Canadian on Canadian violence here. Kyle O'Reilly versus Edge, a match that I didn't know I was going to be intrigued by, but I am a little bit here. Two styles going at it right here on Collision. That's my Dynamite review. So it's, I like the Swerve and Christian storyline here. I think there a lot of times in AEW they the chase, they do a really good chase with Hangman, with Punk. They do a good chase of someone getting the title, and then they don't know what to do with it when they have the title. We're here going into Christian Cage, a guy who's been the best heel besides MJF, going up against the most over babyface as your top storyline. I mean, it's good. But I say top storyline, but it's really just the world title storyline, because the top storyline is this Elite versus AEW feud, which is pretty interesting. This is kind of maybe the first time we've seen such a big, grandiose story in AEW. This is the sanctity of this company we love at stake here. And then, of course, Okada on one side, the Bucks on the same side, Danielson Omega on one side with FTR. It's going to be a great match. It's going to be, you got a lot of good technical wrestlers here in this brawl-like setting in Anarchy in the Arena. That's going to be pretty interesting. I'm excited. I like AEW and WWE, and I like New Japan when I have time for it. But I haven't had time for it. I'm still watching Dontaku from this weekend, and we got another show coming up this weekend coming up, and it's Mother's Day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it. I'm taking part in a yard sale with my mom. Wrestling is awesome. There's too much wrestling to watch, but I'm trying to watch it for you guys. Fly high. I'm out.